Hello. I just walked out of Starbucks. Hopefully it's not too loud. Ah, well, that was Shannon. Oh, it was probably Rick calling up to hang up on me, which is fine. It's par for the course. I hung up on him repeatedly because I got tired of the abuse. Oh, probably another callback. Probably gonna hang up as soon as I answer. We'll see. Hello.
Hi, Sean.
Hey, Shannon. How you doing?
How are you doing?
Annoyed as fuck at Rick.
I know. Well, I know. The whole thing is so frustrating to me. It's like, what? But, I know.
I understand your anger and I understand his.
I'm not angry. I'm just
You're
like,
frustrated.
it's just like, what it is, you know?
Yes, ma'am.
So, you wanted to ask me some questions. I know that, you've been wanting to for a while. So, I know one about Kara Johnson and whatnot. Go for it.
Yes, ma'am. Well, there's a lot of stuff about your place, too. Like, when you're overwhelmed, when I was there and you were talking to me, did I listen?
You did listen, and you were. I always say, because I'm an honest person. I have compassion for you, and I care about you. You know, despite all this bullshit that you say, I have compassion for you.
I think my phone's having issues.
Stop, Rick. Stop. No, Rick, stop, please. Okay, so I walked away from him. Love you too. So I'm walked away. I'm going towards the gate. You never yelled at me here. You were nice to me here. I never yelled at you here either, did I?
You didn't yell at me. No, you didn't. You didn't even yell at me once. You snapped at me, but you didn't yell.
How did I snap at you?
There was the time that I was talking to you about your drinking and how difficult it was to try to communicate with you because of that. And you snapped at me and said, "Not now, Sean, not now." You said a few other things after that, but I don't remember the exact words, and as a result, I'm not going to try to quote it. And the other time was when you were really going off on Rick one night and talking about him while he was still in the room, talking about him while he wasn't there. And I had asked you, if how you
I don't
would
want to
feel
get into
about
my
that.
So okay, we're gonna get to
All
the
right.
Rick
Well,
and Shannon
we
thing.
won't get into that.
I don't want that recorded, and there are reasons and there are things about our relationship that I'm not going to. I don't want it recorded and put on YouTube.
All right.
So we can
move past
get
that.
through that. Like that's not fair to even put out there. So
all right. So you understand what sensory overload is, right?
Yes, I do. Yeah, absolutely.
And how I needed a quiet place, right?
Yes, Sean. And you had headphones on a lot of the time. Xanthia is a very loud girl, which you know, and you never ever said that there was, problem. I wish you would have talked to me when you were here.
I was trying to.
I wouldn't have yelled at you. You know that. I never have.
Now I guess we should get on the Kara Johnson thing.
Okay.
When I got done with with court there, and I had let you know that I was gonna try to file a report while I was at court, and then after court, they escorted me out to prevent me from doing so. And then I was in contact with that Kara Johnson lady who was playing a go-between.
Yeah, I figured that one out.
Thank you for figuring that out. I wasn't allowed in those groups, so I didn't know all of that.
Yeah.
I didn't know all of the stuff that she was typing at me, but like at first I was trying to defend her, wasn't I?
Yes, you were, and you always I think that you let a lot of people in that were trolls and people who were unsavories. you know, and I was always was, you know, even when I don't want to say her name because she doesn't like her name mentioned. It's a good person that her daughter tried to help you. You know, her name starts with an A. Her name starts with an M because she doesn't like her name put out there.
I
You know what I'm
know.
talking about, I'm
I
sure.
do. I do.
Okay, so anyways, she, you know, the same thing. Like she wanted to help. You know, these people who were really compassionate about. They know, like these people knew that you really didn't do anything because. See, I can't say because it's going to give away, you know, her job and whatnot. The
Yeah,
girl's job at the time.
I've already said
They
it all,
knew.
though. She was a 911 operator. Her name is
Yeah.
Alyssa. And
And so,
yes.
yes. And like this other person, you know, I could tell she was a troll. And she even sent me a message. Why did you jeopardize? I can't remember word for word, but she was upset with me for jeopardizing your two, you know, because I guess you doubted her. And she was upset with me, the Kara Johnson person.
Yeah, well,
I could see right through her.
The Kara Johnson lady, when you sent me those screenshots that showed me the whole time she was pretending to be my friend, that she was talking trash in those groups,
Yeah.
like, that actually happened. Am I correct?
Yeah, it did actually. It absolutely happen. I figured it out just by I could see the way she was. You know, I could just tell by the way she was presenting herself. It was a troll.
Well, there
Yes,
was a
and she
lot of
was
those. The thing
pretending
is
to be
that
your friend, and she was absolutely not.
Dan Favorite was doing the same thing, and so was that Layla Johnson lady. And Dan Favorite,
No, Dan Faber was he really cared about you. I think he still
I
does.
care about all of you. I still care about Layla Johnson, and I still care about. This is gonna sound really fucked up, but I still care about Kara Johnson just because I thought
I
she
don't
was
know
trying to help.
why some person who didn't give someone who's backstabbing or just someone who's out to get information, whatever.
Cause she's
Why do
still
you?
a person.
And who is Layla? I always get confused with the Layla. Is
Layla
that the
jo-
one who's tried to talk sexual stuff to you?
Yeah, she's the one that wanted to have phone sex while I was up there in Montana, but she wanted to do it all in texting. It turns out that she's not a real person. Aaron Cockerham, see, Dan Faber knew that she wasn't a real person. She wasn't who she said that she was, and that's where I first started not trusting Dan.
But why would Dan give you, put so much money out to help you if he really didn't care about you?
Well,
Obviously he
that's the
did
thing
because
is that
he did, and he probably still does.
that's the thing, Shannon, is that with Dan, no matter how much he cares, he judged me for situations that he wasn't there for. You know, I mean, when he was mad at me for screaming you in chapel, he didn't realize that that was the third time that we'd spoken, and things that you don't want being brought up about your personal life were involved in that. And I didn't want to share that with him. You know, I didn't share
Well, we
that with
didn't. There
him.
was nothing about my personal life then at the time. It's like you just had your, meltdown or whatever you call them, and I said it's okay. You can. I'm not going to hold it against you because I know what autism. I know it's like you need to release the shit, and it's okay. There's nothing you knew. It was okay. You yelled and screamed and hollered. I said, only thing I said to you, I'm like, you're gonna get a sore throat because you're screaming so much.
Well,
I never
the
criticized you,
the
never
the, the
yelled at you.
point the
And
point
hell, I'm not a person to fucking take someone screaming at me like that. But it was okay that you were doing it because I understand the
the
autism and anxiety and everything.
the point about that is that from then on, Dan refused to talk to me. It was always in texting, and he knew that texting made me want to blow my head off, but he didn't care. And every time that I was trying to speak to him about it, he would bring that up. And that's the
How about
thing.
this? Do you want me to see if I can have, if Dan is willing to talk to you again? I don't talk to Dan, but he's still on my Facebook, and I guarantee that Dan still cares about you. I don't know for certain, but I'm pretty sure. Because there are a few people that still stuck, they stuck by you.
Shannon, the thing
What?
is, he didn't stick by me. He typed all those mean things that people do to tear me down, that you need to just man up, and a bunch of other mean shit. And I can't handle that,
I don't know what
because,
he typed to, so I don't.
right. But the thing is that because he felt that because he was sending me money, that he was entitled to dictate to me what was happening in my own life. And he wasn't there for it. So he had no right or place to do that. And I was thankful for the help. I'm thankful for all of the help that people gave me. But the thing is, I needed someone to listen, to stop and actually listen. And that's been a near impossibility. And the more I try to get people to listen, and the more they say they'll listen and then don't make the time, the more frustrated I am, because I literally needed someone to look at it.
I
It's,
looked at some of it.
you did look at some of it. Um, but the thing is that, like, there was so much, and so much went
There is
on.
so much.
And, when I tell stories, I tell true stories. For me,
I
when
wish you would have
somebody.
left it here, and I could have gone through it little by. Remember, I did like that stack one night. If I would have done it little by little, but it was a mound of evidence. So,
It
but if
is
you
a
would have,
mound.
yeah, you don't want to leave your evidence. I know.
Like, right now, the thing is, I'm riding in a vehicle that's illegal. If I get pulled over in this, I lose the vehicle and I lose all of the evidence, just like I did with that car in Longmont.
Why's your
Um,
car? It's illegal. Why?
because I don't have money for insurance.
Oh, how much is the what's it called? The basic insurance. How much is it?
It was $88 a month, because it's a Jeep, and because I lapsed on my last insurance because I was in jail.
Can you? What insurance company did you have?
Progressive, I think.
I wonder how much can. So it got canceled, right?
It did got canceled.
How long ago?
About a month ago.
I wonder if can you do me a favor? Can you call Amica? I don't know the number. I can look at my phone and find out how much it would cost.
Well,
It's AMICA. That's my insurance company.
the big thing that I'm worried about right now is everything that I'm wasting money on is just to get me continued onto the next place, the next place, the next place. I need to be able to sit down in a calm environment without screaming and shouting. I literally needed a place of my own.
Well, Sean, I mean, it's going to be hard to find a place that's like, you know what I mean?
Shannon,
Like,
Shannon, 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 hear me out. Hear me out. Let me speak.
yes,
For me, I had the money that I could have gotten a place of my own, but Ken and Leah stole it all. And then
and they fucking suck for that.
and then the assault by the border police, all of the court stuff kept on having me go back to places where I was
And that
being
sucks, and that
victimized.
pisses me off. I
But
was saying that to Rick earlier.
that
How
took
you had to go back and forth to court in that Honda Civic you had, from state to state.
that took all of my money to do that. And then, like, if I hadn't been assaulted by the border police, I wouldn't still be speaking out. I would have been able to take care of the things that I needed to take care of. But with all of the money that was spent doing that, I had to depend on other people's money. And then because
Yeah.
it was their money, then I owe it to them to listen to what they have to say, but they're not going to listen to what I have to say. And that's so frustrating, because they said they wanted to help. And that's the thing with Dan, is that Dan said that he was the money guy and that Layla was the one that I needed to talk to. But she wouldn't talk to me. It was all in texting. And she pretended like she was autistic. She pretended to be a real person. She even sent me into a panic attack by pretending she was going to go kill herself, and then sending me pictures of this other girl who probably just got out of the shower.
See, I
You
didn't
know,
know that Dan and Layla were affiliated at all
they
until now.
were. They've been.
I mean, until today when you told me.
I know. I've been trying to explain that from the beginning. It's difficult though. I mean,
But Dan is legit, obviously, because he like he, I'm not saying just it's all about money, but he has provided, money because he cares about you, the phone and whatnot. I don't know Dan. I've never spoken to Dan. I'm just going by like there's certain people that have been diehard followers or people who defend you.
That's the
A
thing.
few
Is
of them. One being
Dan?
Dan.
Stop, please.
Okay.
I'm trying to explain this to you, and it would be a
Okay.
lot easier to explain if you would stop and listen.
I'll listen.
All right. As far as Dan went, there was a lot of situations where Dan didn't bother to find out what was going on. He didn't ask my side before he went and bashed me publicly on my Facebook. And he did this repeatedly. He did this with Layla. He did this with Brandon Jepson. He did this with Diane Boatman. And he didn't bother to find out the situation from me. He just assumed and attacked my character on my own Facebook. And that's the thing, is that I didn't attack anyone's character like that until they attacked me personally first. Like with Rose, I had been trying to explain what was going on, but they didn't want to hear it. When I let Rose know on the 9th of October what was going on, I was trying to get help, and when she got onto that Facebook after Mandy Singer's son disappeared and Shauna Sinclair's daughter had been stolen by her husband, or ex-husband, and she got on there and she was bashing my name, calling me all sorts of names that she shouldn't have done. I was trying to help find her daughter at that point, and with my friends trying to argue on Facebook, I was so pissed off at everybody because I wanted her to be found. I wanted her to be safe, but I also knew the risks. Like, risk assessment is part of what I do. My brain does it automatically because I do research statistics and I do understand these things. And I also have lived through a lot of it firsthand. So, like, I knew what the risks were. I knew what the chances were of her being dead. And I didn't want to believe that that was it. But her family wasn't looking for her. They were busy bashing me on Facebook. So to this day, I get the feeling her family knew she was dead already. They already knew she was dead, and that's why and this is probably a paranoid thought, but I think they all had something to do with it. And, that's a messed up thing to say about her family, but the fact is, I'd been trying to get the assaults against me to stop for a whole year by that point. Um, but
Can't imagine knowing all these people missing at once. Fucking, it'd make me wonder things too. That's a lot of people.
Yeah. Did we cut out?
Yes.
All right.
Ethan, stop. No, I said, isn't that 3 at once? So missing,
Yeah, I heard that
that's 3
part.
at once. That would make anyone paranoid. That's weird. It's not normal.
Well, the thing is, Shauna Sinclair, she got her daughter back, and Mandy
Oh yeah,
Hughes.
that's the other that didn't, right? The other girl.
Yep. And Mandy Hughes, she found out that her son had moved to Pueblo.
Oh man.
Mandy Singer, yeah.
Didn't know that she was one of the. Okay, sorry, I didn't know that she was one of the people. Sorry, Ethan came out and I had to mute it for a second.
That's right. Mandy Singer, not the other one. Mandy Singer
is okay, gotcha.
a homeless friend that I knew for years. She's back in Colorado. She's already been dealing with harassment by the police as well. But that's the thing, is that I wasn't allowed to see any of my loved ones, and because of my technical inabilities and because of my panic attacks that shut me down, it's difficult for me to communicate. With my technical abilities, it's difficult to show these people. And people keep telling me to get a hold of the news and keep telling me I need an advocate. I've been asking for help getting that since before Natalie died. I mean, that stuff that I was going through was so messed up. And I wasn't allowed at any point to defend myself in the courts or to the news. The 2 news agencies that I spoke with continue to bash my name. And that
does suck. Just because of that completely sucks. And there are things about your situation. That's why wanted to, was on your side defending you, because you've been fucking dealt the worst deck of cards. I mean, even things that are not in the media, things you've told me, completely fucked up. No, what the hell? Like, if this is why I'm not religious. Okay, one of the reasons, not because of you, but I'm not a believer of. I don't want to get into that, but but what you've gone through in your life is absolute hell. It's not fair. What? Who? What? You know what I mean? So I was always. I just knew. I mean, you didn't have anything to do with this girl's murder, and lo and behold, you didn't.
Well,
and so
I'm a good judge of character. I really am.
I think I am too. Do you think so? I think
Sometimes. Most of the time you are, but it depends on the situation. During the day, you're an excellent judge of character.
What'd you say?
I said during the day, you're an excellent judge of character.
Well, I mean, that has to be in the day or night. I mean, it's like I still judge this person, at some point, so obviously.
Even with all of the frustration and being pissed off, I still say you're a good person, because you are. You're not a bad person, not even close.
Thank you. Likewise, and you are too.
The other thing is, Rick isn't a bad person either.
I know.
He's judgmental, but aren't we all?
Yeah. I mean, obviously he liked you. He took you to the train, everything. He took pictures with you and stuff. We all liked you. God, kids especially really liked you. I liked you too. We had the fun. Sorry with the Jason mask. I apologize. I'll never do it again.
I told you kids and dogs love me.
The kids like playing the Wii with you. The kids ran into the room. Remember when Sandy come? And his son Ricky, you're like, oh, Sean, bust in the door, go hide in the room with you. You're watching documentaries.
They were afraid that she was gonna come bite them or pull their hair or whatever, so they'd come barging in.
It was just like Sean, and then they watch airplane things with you or documentaries for a minute.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, is that me in real life is completely different than me on the internet.
I know.
I didn't want to fight this.
I never asked. Did I ever ask you to leave here? Did I say, Sean, you have to go?
No, you
didn't. Did I ever ask you to leave?
No, you didn't. But you did tell Rick to leave a whole shit ton.
Well, there's other. Yeah, I'm not going to get into the dynamics of that, but yeah, we're good now. And it's. But see,
but
Sean.
You understand.
So for anyone who's listening to this recording.
Right? You understand.
Sean is a good person, and he pisses me off sometimes, but yeah, he needs to. That Sean is Sean, My ex boyfriend Russ, we were eating dinner the other night in Glendale, and he appeared at the table. Remember I told you he has Asperger's syndrome?
Yeah.
And he appeared rambling all sorts of weirdness. I haven't seen you in 9 years, and you're rambling stuff. I don't know if he was under the influence or whatnot, but he was talking all sorts of gibberish. But anyways.
Well, with all of that harassment in those Facebook groups, I mean, there was a lot of threats and a lot of really mean bullying, and you got to see that, right?
I saw, yeah. I mean, most of it was bullying of you, yeah. And there was a few people, not a few, there was a handful, I guess, people who were supporters of you. There were the diehard Sean people, and then the haters.
Well, there was a lot of people that got kicked out of those groups for supporting me. They were basically
I never got kicked out
groups.
Somehow. I never got kicked out, so I'm still in those, but I don't go to those groups anymore, but...
Well, that's the thing. I needed somebody to go to those groups and take pictures in those groups of the slander and the hate towards me.
But do they still even... the thing is, I don't know that they talk about the case anymore.
Well, the thing is, it doesn't matter if they talk about the case anymore. It matters about the things that they said, the slander that they spoke, and the way that people treated me because of that slander. And the fact that I was never allowed to defend myself. Not there, not in courts, and these people continued to harass me afterwards. Like, even after the protection orders, Natalie's family continued to harass me on my Facebook. Her grandmother did so. Her dad did so. I mean,
I can say one thing. I remember I was talking to you the day that you were really, I think it was your grandma's funeral or something, and you were like, you sent me messages. I don't know if it's on this phone though, so I don't know that I have screenshots, but I do remember you telling me you were like worried to death for Nellie's Alicia.
yeah.
Because you thought something had happened because you saw some video or something.
That
I don't
was,
know that I have proof of that, or
there was a
you know what I
YouTube.
mean?
I have the
Anymore,
proof.
because
I have
have
the
a different
proof.
phone.
I have the proof.
But I do remember you calling me and you talked to me on the phone. Like you talked to me about it.
I have the proof. It's in screenshots. What was
Okay.
happening there is that there was a video, and Ted was calling me, or not calling me, but he was on Alicia's account.
Yeah, and you were really worried, like that something had happened to her.
Yeah, he was asking for my phone number, and Alicia had
And he
my
was
phone
kind
number.
of antagonizing you, like, "Hey, come on," you know, like.
He was very antagonizing.
And you said, "Well, Alicia knows my phone number and whatnot, right?"
Yep. But he was also, after I would reply to it, he
and
would
then he
erase
deleted
it.
the thing,
Yep.
if I remember correctly.
I had my
But you
entire
had
YouTube
it all
deleted.
saved.
Yep. I had my whole YouTube deleted. That's the thing, is that these haters went after everything, no matter what.
But you had saved the screenshots, I think.
I did. I still have the screenshots.
Yeah, I remember when you telling me about that day.
The problem is, I needed somebody to sit down with me and look at the evidence. At my dad's house, oh my God, that was terrible.
Why?
My dad is, well, he used to be physically violent, but he had heart problems. So now he's not physically violent. He just yells a lot.
Well, you know, everyone can yell sometimes. You know,
No,
unfortunately.
This is completely different. This is completely different. This is an abusive
Was
yelling.
it like, ah, and in your face kind of yelling?
Yeah, it was preventing me from leaving and yelling in my face kind of yelling. Like, basically standing in the doorway. And this is something
like scaring you, yelling like a military, or like, you know, like a, you know, bully kind of yelling in your face.
Yes, but the point is that, like, for my dad, it's a matter of him being right no matter what. No matter what, he knows better than I do. And I was trying to explain to him the situation when I got there about me getting disability back and how I needed a lawyer before I could do any of that. And he's like, well, I don't have $5,000 to spend on a lawyer. I was like, Dad, I don't need $5,000 to spend on a lawyer. I need somebody to speak for me. I need someone to understand the situation who's not given the mentally ill tag, to actually care about my well-being and the abuse that I've endured and say, hey, this is fucked up. And actually push it to the media, actually push it to the police, actually push it to the FBI, actually take an active role. And he was like, well, we're going to work on getting your disability back. And I explained to him that I'm probably not going to get my disability back because I have warrants. And he said, well, you're in a different state and it's different here. So I jumped through all the stuff that he wanted me to, and that money would have been better served getting my medical records. Like, when I needed medical records. I needed to be able to make photocopies of the evidence. Most of the evidence that I have is one of a kind. I can't get it back if they take it. And a lot of the evidence...
You can send it to me, Sean. My union's calling. I'm not going to answer it, but I can help. I would never screw you over. I hope you know that by now. I wouldn't screw you over. I told you you could leave your evidence here. I would have sent it to you where you needed it. I'm not a freaking asshole. I'm not a fucking person like, oh, I'm just gonna, you know, I mean, like, you could have stayed longer. I'm sorry, you know, I mean, like, I think part of it was that your dad was gonna give you the Jeep too, so it's like, yeah, you need something. God, if I were in your situation, I would want a Jeep too, or any sort of vehicle, you know, I mean.
It was all the noise, Shannon. It was too much for me.
I understand. I mean, my daughter's a lot of noise. Shit. You know, I mean, like, it's gonna be hard to find somewhere to go that's, you know, like, a very quiet, unless you put, like, well, I thought you wore headphones a lot of the time.
I do. And, you know, I really, do a lot better.
Do you watch your documentaries and?
Well, I go back and forth between working on what I need to, getting overwhelmed with it, and then either I watch documentaries, which the whole time that I'm watching them, I'm really having anxiety because I'm watching them instead of working on what I need to. And then when I have enough anxiety about doing that, I go back to working on what I need to and having anxiety about that. And then worrying about, having to
Yeah.
end up out here with nothing, literally worried about the situation I'm in right now.
Well, I hate that you're out there like in the middle of fucking nowhere. I mean, I don't like that.
I don't like it either.
I don't like it. I mean, it makes me sad. Oh, Sadie, here, your friend Sadie, she's barking at somebody outside.
I miss her.
Can you hear her, Sadie?
I do.
Barking.
But
I'm outside with her. She's like, Sadie bug, Sadie.
as far as trying to get somebody to take a look at it, there's an FBI office here not far. I'm willing to spend the rest of my life in prison to see to it that these people don't get away with it.
No, you're not going to commit another crime. No,
I'm not. I'm turning myself in for the crimes I already committed.
But you're not going to spend the rest of your life in prison. I promise you that.
I hope.
You're not. What are you? Okay, you're facing what? Not going to court, right? What else?
No, ma'am. Okay. I'm facing a lot more than that. The thing is,
can you tell me? Because I don't know all about that.
Bollingers, I know. I was trying to explain it. When the Bollingers, even after the protection order, when that family wouldn't leave me alone, I spoke out. And even though they have a protection order that says that I'm not allowed to speak out, that's my First Amendment right, and I'm going to.
Yeah.
So I've been speaking out. I've been speaking out about how I was treated. Also, I made sure, Lexi Woods, I made sure that I harassed her across state borders. That way she could get a protection order. That way the FBI up here would have to look at it. And that's the thing, is that I have to force them to take a look at what's been going on.
And who is she again? Lexi Woods or?
She's the one I got the tattoo stuff from. The one that Joanna Taylor, when I was in Virginia.
I don't know who that is.
Let me speak then. Let me tell the story without interruption. When I was in Virginia, I bought some tattoo. Well, Joanna Taylor bought some tattoo stuff for me. Joanna Taylor is a friend of mine, or used to be a friend of mine before all of this happened. I'm going to send you screenshots from her. I'll also send you the screenshots from Maddie Bow. I'll make sure I do that in the morning.
I know Maddie Bow. Now I know that name because she's infamous for the, she's not.
Anyway, that
okay,
tattoo
go ahead.
equipment,
I know that one, but I don't know the first one. Now I do. You're going to send me screenshots, so.
Right. So let me finish. Lexi Woods was the one who, she's the alcoholic who sold that to Jojo Taylor. And I was going to split it because it was 8 tattoo machines in all. I was going to split it between myself, Natalie and Alicia were going to get a part of the kit, and I was going to try to give part of the kit to Mahalia. Because Mahalia, she's the one that, remember I said when I first set up the trip that I set it up so that I would have a support network? That's so that what happened wouldn't happen. But Mahalia got on an airplane to Boulder. And I got screenshots from her from that time as well. Most of these people, they ditched me outright because of the rumors. Not because of anything that I did, but because of the rumors about me molesting somebody or raping somebody or all of that shit, As soon as she died, people really they wanted to distance themselves as far as possible, including Darren O'Connor. And even though the officer who assaulted me, he's pushing the fact that that officer in specific assaulted at least 4 other people after me, he didn't bother to bring any of that up. He didn't bother to present my case along with that. This officer has a history of assaulting people. Now, had that officer not done that, then I wouldn't have been stuck in that area. I wouldn't have been stuck having a panic attack in an area where I'm being victimized. And I wouldn't have had to do most of the speaking out that I did. I mean, I still would have had to do some, but I'd have been able to do it in court. Instead, they used that to prevent me from being able to go to court dates. They used it to prevent
I
me from being able
remember
to speak
when
in
you
court
were
dates.
in custody and the restraining. I remember you. Okay, here's something you might want to know about. Well, you will know about because it's your story. But when you got discharged from some mental health facility, you had called me and I asked you some questions. You said, Miss Shannon or ma'am or whatever, that you could not answer these questions. You said, I'll have to talk to you a little bit later because they medicated me and I am not able to answer these questions.
Yeah, that was the Longmont Hospital when I was assaulted by Officer Burke.
Because you did call me. You called me when you were released. Yeah. I'm assuming when you were released and you couldn't answer the questions. You said you did not want to try.
I called you
because of the fact that you were medicated. You're under the influence of medication.
Yeah, you were texting me and I couldn't read your texts because I was still
And you said
fucked
that
up.
you were given that they had provided you with a restraining order and then they took it away. Well, you couldn't even read the thing.
Yeah, I never got to see that again.
And you called me and you told me this verbally. You told me this.
Yeah, matter of fact, I was so fucked up that I thought it was a dream and I had to ask them about it. And they told me.
That's what you said.
They told me that it happened, but they couldn't produce the document.
They wouldn't give you the actual physical copy, right?
Right. They
and you would call me and you told me because I was worried about you, and you called me and you said I'm okay, blah blah blah. But you're like, I can't answer any questions because I'm unable to right now.
Yeah, when
give
I
me
went
a few hours because I'm heavily under the or medicated.
Yeah.
And I cannot answer anything, so I have to go now, and I'll talk to you later.
Yep. So when I went in to talk to Officer Amanda Jonas, when it ended up being...
Is that the one you called here?
Let me finish. Let me finish.
Okay.
When I got arrested, Officer Amanda Jonas was supposed to take a report from me about me being assaulted by Officer Burke in the Longmont Hospital. Now, instead, what they had done is basically try to set it up so that I couldn't make that report, and that's exactly what they did. She did let me know that Officer Burke was supposed to have investigated me for Natalie before she died. He was supposed to have called me and done an investigation with me. At no point in time did he ever call me. He was actually transferred from Broomfield to Longmont. So that's a conflict of interest. This is a guy who was supposed to do his job. He's one of the people that I was pissed off about because that protection order, first of all, should never have had any address on there. And I threatened to sue the judge over that.
Which one?
The very first one, the one from Natalie.
Okay, that's what I thought. Yeah, so Natalie's apartment or whatever.
He was, that's a conflict of interest for him to even be there. Also, Amanda Jonas, I was supposed to be writing a report about the assault against me by that officer, and that's why I went in. She had lied to me to get me to go in, and the thing is, I was trying every step of the way to try to show them that evidence, and nobody would look at it.
Because you were like the weird, looking guy, like, I'm not saying you're weird looking, I'm saying
they just assumed I was guilty.
People view people, back in the day, with colored hair, because I've had colored hair for, God, I'm 46 years old, so I've had it for a long time, and people used to judge just colored hair. It's like, oh, wow, and wearing all black clothes.
Anyway,
it's not that. Stop judging. But yes, I understand how you can, people can judge a book by its cover, but that doesn't work.
Shannon,
yes.
When Natalie posted up that thing, her last post on her Facebook, if you go all the way back to the very beginning, when she's saying that I'm a stalker, you will notice that people automatically start typing stuff like he looks like a child molester, and they're asking her.
Sucks.
Let me finish. Let me finish. Or even talk
to you. No, I'm just gonna say one. I'm not trying to be a bully or talk over you, but I would never. I'm the biggest fucking advocate for kids, and I hate a fucking child molester or most hated by me, somebody who would violate a child. I would not have let you come here.
this is why it's difficult to explain stuff to you, and this is why
You
so
can go
much gets
now. You can
missed.
talk now. I just wanted to
All
say
right,
that.
so when she posted that, people were asking her, and I want you to go to her Facebook. It's Natalie Marie, and you know what her picture looks like.
Yes.
And scroll all the way back to the very, very, very beginning of that. You'll notice that I'm telling the truth.
Okay.
She said in that we never had sex. We never had that sort
I
of
saw that.
relationship. And also, there's the part where people automatically jumped to the conclusion that I was some sort of sexual deviant as a result of the stalker thing. And that's why the word stalker, that's what Natalie said. And that's the thing, is that I didn't stalk her in Virginia either. In Virginia,
I know.
in Virginia,
What you did was you got
let me
pissed
finish.
off
Let me
and
finish.
you
Let me finish. I'm trying to
exposed what
explain.
her
Let me
father
finish.
had done
Let
to
me
her.
finish. Let me
'Cause you were
finish. Let me finish.
frustrated.
Let me finish, please.
Sure.
Instead of sidetracking, when I was in
Okay.
Virginia, when I left, because of the word stalker, even though I was invited, she was afraid to say that to her mother. When the word stalker was out there, and she let Maddie Boa know that I had threatened her family, which I hadn't. I hadn't threatened her family. They took it that way, and that was the issue. And because of that, Maddie Boa started spreading that around Boulder, and people made their own opinions and their own assumptions, and that's what I was being assaulted over. And that's why I was begging them to come forward and say, hey, Sean didn't molest us. He didn't fucking rape us. He was stuck out in the middle of the road honking his horn like an idiot. But he never said that he was going to harm us. He never said he was going to harm our family. He never touched us inappropriately. He never raped us. And that's the thing, is that I needed them to tell the truth about that so that I could see my brother, so that I could see my loved ones. There are hundreds of people I love in the Boulder area, and it made it so I couldn't see any of them without risking getting assaulted. And before this, I didn't let people's secrets out. I mean, when Jamie Curtis was assaulted by James, I didn't go spreading that to everybody. There was a grand total of 4 people who knew that, well, more than 4 because Todd's whole family, but Todd Rust knew, I knew, and I let Natalie know. And the thing is, when me and Natalie were in Virginia, she kept on wanting to talk to me one-on-one. She kept on telling me she loves me and she wants to make time to talk to me one-on-one. She kept apologizing because her sister has to take her everywhere, and she was letting me know they were fighting over a boy on my birthday, and she apologized for that. Now, after that, her sister got mean. Natalie didn't get mean. Natalie wanted to talk to me still, and she was going to talk to me on the next Monday. But I hadn't slept. I was severely dehydrated from my birthday, and, I have the medical records to prove it. But
what happened you wasn't fair. Like, you drove all that ways, and that wasn't fair. Well, I remember seeing that comment of the text between you and Natalie saying, I'm going to try and, maybe not this trip, whatever. I remember reading text that said, I can't go out there right now, but I'm going to work, and I'm going to work, and I'm going to go come out and see you. She's like, come see me. Yep. You know what I mean? Like, you were her friend. I know that. It was genuine. It was loyal.
The thing
you were her friend.
I knew that if I went out there and it was just them, that I was going to be spending a lot of time by myself. And I was probably going to have a panic attack. And that's why I set it up so that, like Brett Roloff, he's a friend of mine on Facebook. He lives in North Carolina. I set it up to see him, and I set it up to see Sage, and I set it up to see Ed Simmons, who is,
your car barely ran. Didn't your car barely run at the time too?
Well, let me say what I need to say. Okay. With Christine Buhit, the one who let me use her Facebook account.
Yes.
Ed Simmons is her ex-husband. Ed Simmons I was going to visit on the trip. He lives in Dayton, Ohio, and I was going to go see the Air Force Museum, and I have screenshots of that as well. Also, Sage, he quit being my friend as soon as Natalie disappeared. He hasn't responded to anything or been friendly. He unfriended me. I was going to see him while I was there. He lives in Chicago. I was also going to see my friend Amanda Daniels, who is still a friend of mine. If you look up Amanda and Corey DeMett, then you
I
can
don't know how to
find
spell
her.
that, but you can text it to me.
Yes,
I
ma'am.
believe, you know what? You don't even need to explain. I know what you're saying is legit.
My whole
I
support
really did.
network fell apart, though. Brett was in jail. Mahalia had gotten on an airplane. The young woman, her name was either Rachel or Rebecca, and the only way that I remember those names is because of Rachel and Rebecca Klang. I knew it was one or the other. And the lady who was in. I didn't know who she was, but once I got there, I recognized her. She used to be a street kid in Boulder. She was a lesbian when she was in Boulder, and her parents were ultra Christian. The literally when I got there, out of all of the people that I was supposed to see, all of it fell through. The only two people that I knew in Virginia were Natalie and Alicia, and I fucking freak out
Yeah,
without my loved ones, without being able to see familiarity. And people don't want to understand autism. They keep
I
punishing me
do.
for having an autistic meltdown, like I'm a bad person for it, and I'm trying not to. I
I
keep
understand it,
screaming out
Sean,
and
don't I? Sean, listen, and you know what sucks? That what happened, I don't know why it happened because you meccaed all that way. And then for you just to get, yeah, I can understand because I told you, like, my ex boyfriend had Asperger's syndrome and eccentric person. But I can't imagine, like, they have you, now that you're scared for your friend's life. She's going to commit suicide, right? She's already tried. You go there, and it took you a lot. I remember reading the text before that, stating I can't go for a while, I've got, my car's not working. I've got to get, I remember pictures of you with, like, a pit bull on your lap and whatnot.
that was at
Just
Aunt
trying to
Bee's
picture, like,
house.
a picture in my memory, like, the things, where you're staying and whatnot.
Yep.
And the things you were saying, because you were like, I have to fix my car, blah, blah, blah. And you went there, and yeah, it wasn't really what you planned for. Like, I remember you said that Natalie, because you told me, because I held your hand, we watched Mr. Wong. Remember that silly cartoon?
I do.
And then you said you're the only person who's held my hand since Natalie.
Well,
And I know
Desiree,
the picture, that awesome picture of you and Natalie walking. And I just saw your hands, just hands. You know?
well, that was
I didn't,
actually
I
the.
don't understand what happened. Like, why that trip was turned so wrong. Should have been so right.
It's because Natalie was afraid to be honest with her mom. Her mom hates homeless people. She has
Her
an
mom is no,
opinion.
okay, if, I don't know who her mom is, but the pictures I've seen on the internet, I'm not going to be a judge of, I'm not going to say anything. That's not right to me.
You remember when I forwarded the email from Natalie, the one that I exposed her dad with?
Yeah, I understand that. Yeah, her dad's a piece. Yeah.
Yeah, well, it mentions her mom in there and also her stepmom, Shelly.
Well, what happened to her should never, I mean, she always, let me say, okay, one thing I'm going to just say about the whole thing with Natalie and you. Natalie liked you enough and trusted you enough and cared about you enough to give you her darkest secrets. You expose them, okay, forget that. She liked you that much and trusted you. You were a good friend to her. You know what I mean? You were a good friend to her, someone she cared about. She wouldn't just go tell anybody that. So set that aside with people saying, oh, blah, blah, blah. She cared about you. Genuinely cared about you. So
When
people who say
I know
otherwise,
when
are
when
full
I
of shit.
when I exposed her dad with that email, I think that had a lot to do with her death, and I do want to
No, no,
stand.
no, no, no. You didn't have to do with her death. You did not.
I
You
did.
didn't. She
So did her
already
dad.
fucking
So
felt
did her mom. Her whole
her.
family. They
If she
all
was a
had to
heroin
do with
addict
it.
and stuff, and she was like asking, no, 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 it's not
She's
your
still a
fault.
human
Please
being,
do
though.
not think it's your fault. The girl has gone through a life of hell. Think about it. If what she said in that is true, she was raped and forced to sell drugs. When she was how old was she? 14 or 13?
She was 13 when she started selling
And
drugs for her dad.
I remember you telling me this is one another thing that I thought you were an awesome person. You said you protected these girls. You said go away. They wanted to sleep in the park or something, and you said no. You said go away from them. Like people, other unsavory people would try to, like talk to them. And you said go away. And you said, girl, you should leave. You should leave.
Yeah, if you're not 18, you're 12. That's the rule.
Weren't you the one protecting them though? I remember you saying
Yeah,
that.
but
I
I
read,
didn't just
yeah,
protect
a long
them, I
time ago.
protected everybody. It wasn't
And
just
you were
little
protecting
kids.
them when you didn't even know her name or anything. You said stay away from them to the unsavory people. And you told them they shouldn't be there. Go home. You should go home.
Yep.
See, these are the reasons why I like Sean Schwartz. And there are reasons, and I'm not a great fan of many people because people are not the greatest. Some people. There are a few. I think you're a good person, and I
try to be,
mean
but I'm
well, and I
overwhelmed.
know you're a good person, John. And I'm sorry that I'm allowed. Sorry, I yell sometimes, but it's not a. One day when you have a
your
girlfriend, you'll see it.
frustrations as well.
You're gonna yell with her too.
Shannon, I don't want a girlfriend. I just want to be good to people.
You might. I'm sure you're gonna have one day. Come on now.
Yeah, I might be somebody's bitch in prison.
You're not going to prison. No. Sean.
Well, I'm going to try to get a hold of the FBI. I want to show them everything that's been going on, and with the mass quantities of things that not only did I speak out about them before they happened to me, because I spoke about them when they happened to other people that were homeless. There's also the fact that these things continue to happen, and now they're on the news. A lot of this stuff has been on the news. Lola Ty assaulted at least 6 more people after he assaulted me. The Adams County Police Department, they had several officers. In the last 10 years, they've had 15 officers who were charged with sexual misconduct. Now, officers cover for officers, and I have 2 officers that if I can get an attorney, they're willing to step forward. I'm hoping that by...
Yeah, I mean, it sucks. I don't know. It pisses me off. I wish... in a lot of ways, I wish you probably... I know you wish you weren't here, but I liked having you here. You're a fucking nice person. You never gave me shit. So you had to listen to... This is like listening to... family shit, it's like you're yelling, blah blah blah. You're gonna hear yelling anywhere you go. Not like we didn't bash each other, right?
Well, the thing about it
is that you need a quiet environment, but Sean, good luck with that. You're gonna have to get like a room.
That's the thing. Normally, I can handle it. Normally, I can handle that situation because I can leave. Normally, I'm not stuck in a position where I'm basically trapped there because I don't know anybody else. I know one other guy there. His name is John Quinn. He went by Popeye when he was in Boulder, but now he lives in Boulder again. There's...
Sean, you were never in harm's way, were you? Here?
No, I wasn't. I didn't feel like I was in harm's way. I didn't feel like you guys... I didn't... Shannon, I don't feel as if you would ever hurt anyone. I mean, I've seen how much physical abuse you've taken at the hands of your daughter without retaliating physically. Now, I understand, like, the difference between you and Rick screaming is that Rick screams because he's angry. But I understand that because he's military trained. That's how he's trained to react to that situation. With you, you're scared and you're in pain. But with me, when Zanny was doing that to me, was I screaming or was I calm the whole time?
You curled.
I just take it, right?
You came out. No, you actually came out when she was trying to get me, and you came out like Zanny came out like you want to take the brunt of that. I said no. She pulled your hair. And no, just being honest.
Like with the Christmas tree, the Christmas tree. That was a pain.
I don't care. Everyone who hears this man is a person. He lived with me. Sorry, I'm a little noisy, but Sean, did we have fun too?
You're good. I have to let you go because they're gonna close down here in Starbucks soon, and I have to start
Sean,
packing
wait,
up my
one thing.
stuff.
What did we do the first night you were here? Just say it. What did you dance to?
Michael Jackson, Thriller.
You were hella good.
I even saved a
See,
couple of newspaper clips I got in jail about Michael Jackson for you.
I know you didn't leave it. Remember I read some of that. Sean, I might have to post that in your. Oh no, you deleted me. I forgot.
Yes, ma'am.
You dancing. It shows you're a real. People don't think that you were a real. You know what I mean? You're a good person. Can you block me so I can post that on your wall?
I can't. I'm on a Facebook ban for
Oh,
saying "kiss
Sean.
my Rose Kelly ass."
All right. How long? 30 days?
I think it's like 26 more days.
Oh, God damn it. For what?
I
Pick a reason.
typed "kiss my Rose Kelly ass." That's Natalie's mother's name.
Okay, because I don't know all of her relatives. I know the dad's name and the sister's name.
I gave these people every opportunity to help me put a stop to it, but they didn't want to. They weren't
I know if they
interested.
just would, agree with you, then you would stop talking about them, and then they could be, why don't they just,
With what the police did, it made it so that that wasn't a possibility. It's kept me in a constant state of panic, and because people don't want to understand autism, they punish me for having an autistic meltdown and having nonstop panic attacks. That's why I
oh,
needed my medical records, is so that I could prove I was telling the truth. That's
well, I
why I
know you're
needed the
telling the
money
truth
for
because I know
that.
autism. I'm not an expert, but I can say that you're legit. I would not, I've been diehard trying to defend you for a long time. And I'm not going to get into my feelings about most people, but yeah, I see, I've known a person with Asperger's syndrome, and and my daughter has sensory and whatnot, blah, blah, blah. You mean well, sometimes you have a fucking shitty way of showing it, but that goes along with autism,
That goes
you
along
know?
with being overwhelmed. Anyway, I do
Yeah.
have to let you go.
All
You can
right,
call me
Sean.
back in about 10 minutes
Hey,
if you want.
love you, dude.
I love you too, Shannon. Be safe,
All
alright?
right,
And
you
I
too.
love Rick
Okay.
too. Just,
All right, talk to you soon, okay?
alright. Bye.
All right, bye.